Hello friends! Today we are going to find out how and when we use the clause of manner. As the name suggests, an adverb clause of manner tells us how we do something. In other words, it describes or specifies the way in which the action is done. The most common connectors used in the clause of manner are as if, as though, and like. They all have the same meaning. Итак, сегодня мы с вами подробно рассмотрим придаточные предложения образа действия. Придаточные предложения этого типа вводятся при помощи союзов as if, as though и like. И говорят нам о том, как, в какой манере производится действие. Давайте рассмотрим это на примерах. A manner clause or a clause of manner is used to say how someone does something or how something is done. This something is expressed in the main clause. The common connectors used are as if or as though, as plus adverb plus as, and like. As. I will do as I like. Я буду делать то, что захочу. You must know this question as he does. Ты должен знать этот вопрос так же, как он. He behaves as he does because his father was really cruel to him. Он так себя ведет, потому что его отец был очень жесток с ним. Note: we often use the adverbs just, exactly, or precisely in front of as for emphasis. For example, I always drink tea without milk, just as they do on the continent. Я всегда пью чай без молока, точно так же, как они делают на континенте. I like the opportunity to plan my day exactly as I want. Мне нравится возможность распланировать свой день в точности, как я хочу. As if, as though. It looks as though everyone else has gone home. Похоже, все остальные ушли домой. It looks as if it's going to rain. Похоже, сейчас начнется дождь. He looks as if he knows what he's doing. Кажется, он знает, что делает. When we want to indicate that the information in the manner clause might not be true or is definitely not true, we can use either of these connectors. For example, she looks as if or as though she hasn't had a good night's sleep for weeks. We don't know for sure. Она выглядит так, как будто не спала несколько недель. She acts as though she owns the place, but she's not. Она ведет себя так, как будто она здесь хозяйка. After as if or as though, we often use a past tense, even when we are talking about the present, to emphasize that the information in the manner clause is not true. For example, he cries as though he were a baby, but he's not a baby. Он плачет, как ребенок. He looks at me as though I were crazy, but I'm not crazy, am I? Он смотрит на меня, как на сумасшедшую. He is acting as if nothing had happened, but something might have happened. Он ведет себя, как ни в чем не бывало. She treats him as though he were her own son, but he is not her son. Она относится к нему, как к собственному сыну. Note that in formal English we use were instead of was, but it's okay to use was in informal speech. Примечание. Если сказуемое придаточного предложения выражает действие или состояние, предшествующее действию или состоянию сказуемого главного предложения, то в придаточном употребляется past perfect, независимо от того, в каком времени стоит сказуемое главного предложения. For example, he described the town as if or as though he had seen it himself. Он описал город так, как будто, как если бы он сам видел его. She talked about Marilyn Monroe as if they had been close friends. Она говорила про Мэрилин Монро так, как будто раньше они были близкими друзьями. But when the main clause is in the past tense, we do not use a past perfect after as if or as though to show that a comparison is unreal. Instead, we use a simple past in both clauses. For example, he looked as if or as though he knew everything, but he didn't. Not he looked as though he had known everything. You can also use as if or as though with a to infinitive clause. For example, as if to remind him, the church clock struck 11. As plus adverb plus as. Our instructor asked us to fill out the questionnaire as carefully as we could. Наш инструктор попросил нас заполнить анкету как можно аккуратней. Like. In informal speech, people often use like instead of as if or as, especially to say how a person feels, looks, or sounds. For example, she acts like she really doesn't like him. Она ведет себя так, как будто он ей совсем не нравится. It's going to rain all summer, like it did last year. Это лето будет дождливым, как и в прошлом году. You look like you've seen a ghost. Ты выглядишь так, как будто привидение увидел. You talk just like your father does. Ты говоришь прямо как твой отец. I felt like I had won a marathon. Я чувствовал себя так, как будто выиграл марафон. Note: we can also use like in a prepositional phrase to say how someone does something. For example, he was sleeping like a baby. I behaved like an idiot, and I'm sorry. When the subject of the manner clause and the main clause is the same, we can often use a participle in the manner clause and omit the subject and the verb to be. Когда в обеих частях предложения в роли подлежащего выступает одно и то же лицо, мы можем опустить подлежащее и глагол to be в придаточном предложении, заменив их причастным оборотом. Например, She was standing and looking at me as though waiting for a new question from me. Она стояла и смотрела на меня, как бы ожидая нового вопроса от меня. He ran off to the house as if escaping. Он бросился к дому, словно пытаясь сбежать. He shook his head as though dazzled by his own vision. Он встряхнул головой, словно ослепленный своим же видением. There are other ways to talk about how someone does something or how something is done. They are not as popular as the ones we discussed earlier, but are still common. А теперь давайте посмотрим на другие способы описания, в какой манере производится действие. You also use the way that, in a way that, or in the way that to talk about how someone does something or how something is done. For example, I was never allowed to sing the way I wanted to. They did it in a way that I had never seen before. We make it move in the way that we want it to. Sometimes you can use how to talk about the manner in which someone does something. For example, I watched how he did it, then tried to copy him. Tell me how he reacted when he saw you. Если придаточное предложение вводится союзом that, что, то в главном предложении употребляются слова so, так, такой, или such, такой. При этом so определяет наречие или прилагательное, а such определяет существительное. For example, he played so well that everybody admired him. Он играл так хорошо, что все восхищались им. The airplane was flying at such a height that we could hardly see it. Самолет летел на такой высоте, что мы едва видели его. Предложение с such that рассматривается здесь для практического удобства совместно с предложениями с so that, хотя предложение с such можно было бы отнести к определительным придаточным предложениям. That's everything I wanted to tell you about the clause of manner. And now let's do some exercises to check our understanding of this topic. Choose the correct tense. Sue didn't study maths at university, but sometimes she talks about it as if she were an expert on the subject. My boss tells the same jokes all the time, and we always laugh as though we had never heard them before. What a delicious smell! It smells as though my mother is baking at the moment. Helen looked very frightened last night. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. She didn't know him, but she acted as if she knew him. There was a lot of noise last night. It sounded as though the people next door were having a party. It was very cold outside today. In fact, it feels as if it's going to snow. Bill is only 23 years old, but sometimes he behaves as though he were much older. And with that, we are finishing all the grammar material that you need to know at this point. I wish you to be successful in your learning of English and hope that our lessons will help you now and in future. Have a wonderful day and good luck!